Hello, students. We have gone through the poetic form as a critical concept or term. Now, we are going to study the next term, that is ballad. A short definition of the popular term ballad may be understood as folk ballad or traditional ballad is that it is a song transmitted orally which tells us a story. Ballad are thus narrative species of folk songs which originate and are communicated orally among illiterate and partly literate people. It's a kind of a song that is, in all probability, in the initial version of ballad was composed by a single author, but the name of the author is not known even today. He is anonymous, or the name is not known. Each singer who learns and repeats an oral ballad is apt to introduce the changes in both the text and the tune. It exists. The ballad exists in many variant forms. Typically, the popular ballad is dramatic. It is used in a condensed and mostly impersonal form. The narrator begins with a climactic episode, tells the story tersely in action and dialogue, sometimes by means of dialogue alone. Ballad tells it without self reference or expression of personal attitudes and feelings. The most common stanza form, called ballad stanza, is a quatrain in alternate 4 and 3 stress lines. Usually, only the second and fourth line rhymes. This is the form of Sir Patrick Spence in the first stanza, so exemplifies the typical type of ballad. The, the ballad Sir Patrick Spence, the lines of the stanza goes like this. The king sits in Dumfarthing town, drinking the blue-red wine. Oh, war! What I get is a guild sailor to sail this ship of mine. Many ballads employ set formulas, which help the singer remember the course of the song. The stock descriptive phrases like blood red wine, milk white steed is being used. As we have seen, there is another characteristics that we see. There is a refrain in each stanza. At the same time, we have incremental repetitions, and this incremental repetition is also known for its years. But with an addition that advances the story, we have seen. Although many traditional ballads probably originated in late Middle Ages, but these Middle Age ballads were not collected and printed. But in 18th century, 18व्या शतकामध्ये बॅलड सुरुवातीला इंग्लंडमध्ये आणि नंतर जर्मनीमध्ये हे बॅलड जे आहेत हे कलेक्शन करण्याचं काम थॉमस पर्सी याने केलं. आणि थॉमस पर्सीने बॅलड हे जे ओरली जे गायलं जायचे असे पोवाडे आहेत हे पोवाडे कलेक्शनचं काम केलं. त्याने रॅलिक्स ऑफ एन्शियंट इंग्लिश पोएट्री या नावाने त्याला नाव दिलं. आणि 1765 in 1765 Thomas Percy brought this ballad to the common people or common reader, and this inaugurated the widespread interest in the folk literature. The basic modern collection is seen in Francis G. Child's English and Scottish popular ballads. This ballad includes 305 ballads, and many of them in variant versions. Bertrand H. Bronson has edited traditional tunes of child ballads. Popular ballads are still being sung and collected. Now, with the help of electronic recorder in the British Isles and remote rural areas of America, the songs that early settlers brought with them from Great Britain, America has also added the native forms. Their own contribution is added because it is an oral, formulaic poetry or oral poetry. And that oral poetry is tend to be reproduced in a typical different way. The singer adds his own, from his own. Some words are added to it. So, like this American native form also contributed those sung by lumberjacks, cowboys, laborers, and social protesters. Number of such recent folk singers, including Woody Guthrie, Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, themselves compose the ballads. And most of these, however, such ballad of Bonnie and Clyde are used. There is broadside ballad, and this broadside ballad is also a modern development that we see. It is a journalistic broadside ballad. So, broadside ballad is another variant of this ballad form. Broadside ballad is ballad that was printed on one side of a single sheet called broadside. It deals with current event and person or an issue, and it is sung to the well-known tune. Beginning with the 16th century, these broadsides were hawked in the streets at the country fairs in Great Britain. Traditional ballad has greatly influenced the form and style of lyric. It has also engendered the literary ballad, which is a narrative poem written on a deliberate imitation of the form and language and spirit of traditional ballad. Germany, some major literary ballads were composed in later 18th century. There is one composer, G.A. Berger, who produced Leonore. It's a famous, widely read and influential English translation. Goethe, the German writer, produced Alconi. In England, the best literary ballads were composed in Romantic period by William Wordsworth, lyrical ballads. S.T. Coleridge, who collaborated Ancient Rime of Ancient Mariner. Walter Scott, who wrote Proud Maisie. John Keats, who died very young, is a young poet, is a very mature poet. John Keats produced La Belle Dame Sans Mercy. And this Wordsworth begins with We Are Seven. It's a literary type of ballad used in first person teller of a story. S.T. Coleridge's Ancient Mariner, on the other hand, is also the first version that come up in lyrical ballads. It is an ancient mariner, and he stopped one of three. So, we have these types of ballads that we see, and the The ballad is one of the form of the ballad. We are going to study one of the ballad example from our syllabus. So we get exemplified the description and the features and characteristics of ballad poetry as a form of poetry in our prescribed poem. So we will again go through them once again later on. Like this, we have studied this as one of the term. Thank you.